What's up, guys? This is the Board Certified Gaming Podcast, the podcast that has a death sentence on 12 systems.
Aha.
If you get what that's from, I'm very happy about that. I'm Andy. Amar is here.
Hello.
So when this episode comes out, if we planned it correctly and nothing else happens in this pandemic or whatever,
So like between now and like the internet shutting
yeah,
down in
if
2
anything
days,
happens between now and when we release this on a Monday,
you won't know.
Yeah, we
because
won't
this
know. So
won't-
hopefully on Monday, it is one of our favorite days of the year, and that is Star Wars Day.
Garfield's least favorite day is Monday.
I know, and it happens to be on a Monday. So Garfield, if you're out there, try and enjoy your Star Wars Day. We know
This
it's
is
on
gonna
a
be the only
Monday.
tolerable Monday.
I mean, yeah, this is the only Monday that Garfield is gonna like. To get some lasagna, just hang out.
So here's the ultimate question. I have to work on Monday. So
Yeah,
I'm still
we
gonna
all
work a
do.
full shift. But I try to watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Probably only gonna have time for maybe one, maybe two films.
Okay.
Which one or two should I watch? If I could do two, which two should I watch?
Empire and Return of the Jedi.
You think so?
Yeah, you know what happens in episode 1 or 4, I guess, for the new. I always would pick the two of my favorite ones, which are Empire and Return of the Jedi. You just get, you know what happens earlier,
It's
and
been 5 months since I've last seen that original trilogy, so I think it is
yeah,
time
I
to
mean,
watch
it's
it
time to
again.
watch it. I
Christmas time was the last time.
do like the new ones,
I've been
and
wanting
I
to.
do like the new ones as well.
I want to rewatch.
We're
Episode
in our
9.
20s, so we got both.
I want to
new
rewatch
ones.
episode 9 just because now it's on Disney Plus. I think.
Yeah, they're all
They
on
dropped
Disney
it
Plus, I
early.
think.
Yeah.
It's
So-
just they are worth, I think, giving a watch them all. Star Wars is awesome.
So what is it, like 18 hours for all 9
I
movies
think
now?
so,
'Cause
but
it was
unless you want to
13
watch,
it was 13 for the like OG 6.
unless you want to
before.
watch Solo, Rogue One, all this other stuff. There's tons of Star Wars to watch. There's like a whole day's worth of stuff.
A lot of Star Wars.
Yes. And on May the 4th, which May the 4th be with you guys, on Star Wars Day, we like to maybe pop on an episode or two and maybe play some of our favorite video games from a galaxy far, far away. Because there are a lot of them. There are a shitload of Star Wars games.
Do you think you could get through all the Star Wars games in 12 parsecs?
Absolutely not. Like, it's amazing how many Star Wars games they pump out, and even like year to year basis. Maybe not so much anymore, but
I haven't played that many Star Wars games. But
you haven't played many?
Many, but the ones that I have played were pretty good.
I mean, I've played a bunch, so I guess this is
you.
I've loved Star Wars ever since I was a little kid, and then ever since I played video games, I was like, "Ooh, you mean Star Wars? This thing I love is also in video games. This other thing that I love." Thank you. Like, jackpot. And as like an 8-year-old with nothing better to do, like, hell yeah. Because we didn't.
You were a few years removed from learning how to masturbate, so
Yeah, I wasn't there yet. Then I had zero time for anything else. So
except masturbating Star Wars.
yeah. So we didn't have the benefit of getting to watch the original Star Wars movies in theaters. Those were out way before we were even thoughts.
We watched
in our
what was the
parents' heads.
original for us,
Yes.
which was 1 through 3,
Which are still good.
not the second one.
I enjoy the political stuff and the trade negotiations. It just adds a story, and then you can see how Anakin literally gets turned over and all that other stuff. I think it's good. It's just, it holds up. It's aged well, I think. Phantom, Darth Maul is awesome.
It's Attack of the Clones is definitely the worst Star Wars
But
movie.
the last half
but
hour
it's
of
still
Attack of the
pretty
Clones
good,
is
though.
still, it's
it's like cold pizza
or sex. Even if it's bad, it's still pretty good.
No,
that's the joke.
I don't know about that one.
But Star Wars, we love it. And there have been a lot of video games, I think, based on the list. I have 41 that have come out since we were existing, kind of.
40 that have come out.
40 that have come out since we existed. Amar and I were born in the early 90s, middle 90s, whatever. So, what?
What do you mean middle 90? Oh, yeah.
I was 94,
I was
so
93.
I can't say early 90s.
I'm basically 94, considering I was 2 days away from 94.
That's true. So we're both born in 94. So there are some cool games that were
I
like
just hung out in 93 for 2 days, and I was like, what up, 94?
So there were some cool games in 1992 and 1993 that kind of started this whole thing, because gaming back in the 80s was kind of picking up, but it was still kind of a niche thing that wasn't these mass-produced things. Everybody was going to the movies to watch Star Wars, not going to play video games of Star Wars. And arcades were a big thing too.
Man,
So
I
people
would
would
love to
get
go to an
arcade games instead of getting home console video games.
Yeah.
But then once the 90s came around, things just started popping. And we're going to kind of go over,
Popping.
yeah, we're going to go over a lot of the Star Wars games. Most of them I've played, a couple I have not. But most of them I'll just describe what they are, why they were cool, why they might have been bad, why people did not like them.
So I'm looking at this list that you highlighted of the games that you haven't played, and then I'm trying to look at what I've played, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. So hopefully, if there's a game that neither Amar and I have played, I have the articles right up now. I can look and see what it is. I kind of know what they are. I just didn't have access to them, didn't play them. We're just too busy masturbating and playing Star Wars games. So before we get into that, this is a podcast, obviously. It is available on boardcertifiedgaming.com. The website has a player on it. You can listen to it on there.
Oh, fancy.
Also, you can pick your podcast provider. It's hard to say that.
Podcast provider.
There you go. We're popping a lot just because we have new microphones and it picks it up now. So
Yeah, I'm going to enunciate all of my P's
Sorry
and
about that.
P's and D's.
treat it as ASMR for the time being.
So anyways,
We're going to whisper the whole time. And you can choose your podcast provider on boardcertifiedgaming.com, BORED certifiedgaming.com. Or you can just already go to Spotify, look us up, go to Apple Podcast, look us up, go to any other podcast website, look us up. We appreciate it if you do. That's awesome. Which it's kind of counterproductive because you're listening to us right now anyway. But you can tell your friends, you can share links, you can do whatever. It's easy to find us. We appreciate you guys all listening. We'd also appreciate you guys following our Twitter at BCG Podcast. That's our Twitter. Go follow it. We appreciate you doing that. It's awesome that we already have a couple followers, people that like our stuff. I mean, that's surprising to me, even, you know, in the bare minimum of that somebody
like our stuff, so thank you.
So you do more than Amar for this episode.
You don't even like our stuff, let's be honest.
Liking your own posts is like giving yourself a high five. It's
Which
not
you
cool.
do quite often.
I do a lot. If it was socially acceptable to like your own posts, I would do that every single time. Because at least
the only way it can become socially acceptable is if we have a martyr to do so.
I got to start. I got to be the one to start it. So
it's a new thing.
Look at our Twitter at BCG Podcast. We also have an Instagram if you're more visually minded at Board Certified Gaming Podcast on Instagram. Check out the gram, like stuff, share it. Basically, get our name out there. We appreciate you guys doing that. That's how we grow. That's how we get better. That's how we get more listenable. Because if less people listen to us, we're going to keep sucking. So we want
keep on sucking.
We want your feedback. We want you guys to tell us how we're doing and what we can improve on.
Tell us, are we sucking or are we fucking?
There we go. So we're going to get into it. Star Wars games. What?
I said that should be a poll.
That should.
Do you think we're sucking or do you think we're fucking?
I mean, hey,
we're going to be disappointed regardless.
I know which one I'd like, but I don't think everybody else is going to agree on that one.
We'll put an other.
Yeah. Neither.
Neither. Yeah. You guys fucking suck.
So 1992, I'm just going to mention Super Star Wars on the SNES, Super Nintendo.
SNES.
I say SNES because it sounds cooler.
You can get the fuck out of here.
Because it's Super Nintendo Entertainment System, not
SNES.
I know, but I like SNES because it's the NES, but SNES. I don't know. I'm weird about it.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Anyways,
Super Star Wars.
You can get it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well.
Side scroller. Yeah, you can even play it now on future systems, or you can get the Super Nintendo Classic. I think it's on there. Man, you can probably mod. You can probably mod it. And get
you
it
could definitely mod it. Yeah, it's
so
not. It doesn't come on there preloaded though.
Instead of getting a new console and just like downloading it quick, buy a Super Nintendo Classic and then mod it. There's probably an emulator somewhere. You can just get it for free. It's a fun side scroller. Very difficult. I've tried it. I tried an OG copy. Very difficult.
You played it?
Yeah.
Why is this listed as?
I didn't play it like legitimately. I tried it for like 5 minutes, and then it's like I hated the Super Nintendo controls. So it's like
the SNES,
Super Nintendo,
the SNES,
Super Nintendo. So it's Super
SNES.
Yeah, S's aren't bad. It's the P's and the B's.
The SNES.
Put the P's in the B's, and you know,
P's and B's and T's and Q's and dot those I's.
So that was 1992. That was probably the bigger game of 1992, Super Star Wars.
It's the only Star Wars game in 1992.
There were probably more.
They probably weren't very good.
But they were for like Atari or probably other systems that it's like, we didn't play because I was born in 1994 and I didn't even have a chance to play this.
Yeah,
so,
I've unfortunately never owned an Atari in my life. I'd
so
love to though.
The next one, which I have played,
Yeah.
is Star Wars X-Wing. That
On
was
the
the first kind.
PC.
Yeah. Please stop doing that. So this was kind of your basic flight pilot. You're a Star Wars. You're flying an X-Wing and you're shooting TIE fighters. Pretty self-explanatory. It's fun because it was the first kind of game to do that, and it looks pretty cool. And you could be in a cockpit of an X-Wing. That's badass. Back in 1993, that was baller. And me, when I was like 8 years old and like finding out about these games for the first time, back when PCs were like all average,
Just
there weren't
PCs.
there weren't gaming PCs. It was just like, you have a computer too.
They were
Like,
just
all
running
right,
MS DOS.
yeah. So it's like, imagine being able to be in an X-Wing around that time. And then they also evolved on that game. I don't think I have many more of those because there was a lot of X-Wing, like X-Wing whatever, X-Wing 2, like a lot of different kind of X-Wing games that were just the same kind of spiel.
So there's
with
like more than what you put in this
yeah,
list.
but that was the starter game. That was like the one I played. That was like the base one, and then they had other little versions of it. So X-Wing was awesome. And then tying with the 1992, because Super Star Wars was episode what people are calling 4, but it was technically the first Star Wars, A New Hope. Now they had Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and you can see where this is going. Same kind of game, different universe. You know, just the second movie. You just go through the second movie pretty
And
much.
then they followed up with the third movie.
And then they did Return of the Jedi. Shocker, in 1994, which I was born. You were born in 1993, so you might have had an opportunity to play.
I don't think that this
Super
came out
Star Wars.
in Germany. I couldn't tell you.
Well, I'm just saying, you had the opportunity. You could have went to America and got it.
First day in America in 97. I was
Hey,
like,
can I get a copy of Super Star Wars?
I need
Empire
a
Strikes Back?
3-year-old game and I need it now.
So those were probably the early ones that I didn't play just because when we got them, like when we got introduced to video games, there were newer systems available and with Star Wars games. So we were already into that. We were either playing on the N64 or we were on PCs doing that stuff. So we didn't really, our Super Nintendos, at least mine was, only used for like a couple of games, like a Mario game or like
Mostly
something like
Mario.
that. And I
Mostly
got
first
one
party
after
games.
the fact. Like it was like I got a Super Nintendo after I got all these other Nintendo systems. So I was like, okay, cool.
So it was for me too, because my earliest Nintendo system was the N64.
Mine too, because they came out and it was like, okay, N64. Oh wait, there's a Super Nintendo. There's an NES. Like, okay, cool. I guess like that's fun. And then when you get like if you started someone on an Xbox 360 right now, and then you said, oh, there's something that's even like the original Xbox with like worse graphics.
The original Xbox One.
They're going to be like, well, why would I want to play that when I have the Xbox 360 or there's a newer one to go to? Like, why would I bother? Like, why go back when you can go forward and
you
get
play
better?
Jet Set Radio Future on
But
it.
we have the benefit of hindsight. We know that. We know it's great. They don't.
Kids
So
these
they're going to,
days.
yeah, I know. So the next one is Star Wars Dark Forces. This I remember is the first Star Wars PC game that I really just dove the fuck into. You are essentially, it's first person shooter. And you are
Ooh.
blasting away at stormtroopers. And yes, the graphics are bad. You know, they're
It's a
all
95
bad.
PC game.
They're all bad.
Do you think it'll run on my PC today?
Maybe if you get an emulator. I try to run all these old games.
Do you think my GPU can handle it?
I hope so. I mean, I hope you have enough, you know, that you've made a
probably do
computer that
need
can
it.
actually handle
You
it.
probably
unless you're-
do need a emulator, considering that.
Probably. I mean, you are playing Kyle Katarn. And for all the canon nerds in there, I mean, he is not in any of the Star Wars movies per se. He's in canon. He's in Star Wars lore, but he's not a central character in any of the Star Wars movies. So this was kind of a side thing, which like they had books, they have all these other things. There's probably, you know, Rule 34 stuff about Star Wars that might be canon. We don't know. But there are
I don't even want to think about that.
there are games like Dark Forces and Shadows of the Empire that we're going to talk about later that were like, okay, this is Star Wars, this is in the Star Wars universe, but it's characters you have never heard of, but technically they exist.
It's for the real fans.
It's for the people that know who they are or don't care who they are. It's just in the Star Wars. Like if you're shooting stormtroopers, I don't care who I am. I'm still going to shoot them. Like I'm still going to have a good time. So that's Star Wars Dark Forces. The next one is Shadows of the Empire for N64. Awesome game. Love it. I even like that you can get a newer version of it for N64, and it's a completely purple cartridge.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I miss when
it's
they used to do that
awesome. Yeah.
stuff.
So you are playing N64, and it's third person, which is I am not a huge fan of. I mean, I prefer having the ability, like even in Battlefront, I would turn it first person just because,
Yeah,
like, I don't know, I just like having the ability of I'm looking at what I'm doing instead of looking at a guy. Like, it's better to put me in the game. It's easier to think I'm in the game than it is to just, okay, I'm watching that guy do it. That's not me. I know that's not me.
I didn't know you felt so strongly about third person view.
That's a podcast for another time.
Wow.
I know.
Sorry for dragging you through hundreds of hours of Gears of War then.
It's, I'll be all right. I lived. I can play a third person game, but it's just like first person I prefer. That's why I guess I like Call of Duty and stuff. But you play as Dash Rendar in Shadows of the Empire. Canon guy, you don't know who he is. Look him up. All of these characters that are in these games have awesome backstories because that's Star Wars. They come out with these awesome backstories for these people. And it's like, holy shit, this whole thing was happening while all of this was happening or after this was happening. If you think the characters in actual Star Wars movies are awesome, read the books. Look at other things. Watch Clone Wars, the animated show.
Do they have audiobooks?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know who narrates them, but they're guaranteed they have audiobooks. They even have Shakespeare versions of Star Wars movies. Like, I got to buy a couple of those. Like, that's pretty awesome. So Shadows of the Empire was awesome. This next one I loved, which it's kind of out there that nobody really played, but I loved it. Star Wars Yoda Stories. Have you played it?
No.
No.
We're creeping up the list of what I have played.
We'll get there. So Star Wars Yoda Stories was kind of an arcade game, if you think about it. If anybody gets this reference, there were these old Cartoon Network games, or Nickelodeon, no, it was probably Cartoon Network games, where it was like, it was a flash game, but you had played as a little character with like a bigger head, and then you would just like use the arrow keys to run around this area and then like doing tasks for things, but they looked 2D.
I think Nickelodeon had something similar to that. Like, they had a bunch of games also for kids.
And there was like, you'd have to do quests for people and get this item for them, and you need to get this guy's item in order to get this item, and you had to do this thing and explore and go behind this place. This was basically that. You had to walk around. You had a lightsaber, you had a blaster, you had some other stuff, but it was top down, kind of 2D looking thing. But it was just kind of kitschy, kind of arcade. I enjoyed it. It was just you on Dagobah, pretty much. Like Yoda Stories. You are dealing with Yoda, you are on Dagobah, you were playing as Luke. I enjoyed it. I think I found a copy of it the other day. I was cleaning out my desk, and I'm like, damn, that was a good game.
Should have popped it in and streamed it.
I should have, but I mean, who knows if that I don't know if my computer is going to be able to handle that. I mean,
I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I want to go back and play these things, but like the computer's like, yeah, this is too new. I can't do anything about this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play some sort of emulator because they probably don't have the compatibility version for.
Excuse me, what is this piece
Windows
of paper
98?
you just put into my computer?
They should have Windows 98 compatibility mode.
So the next one, which I played a little bit, I put this as I played it when really I didn't. It was just mostly I tried it. A lot of these games with unheard of Star Wars characters, I didn't really understand the lore or understand their connection to the Star Wars universe when I was playing them as a kid, because the internet wasn't a huge thing. It wasn't like I could just Google who these guys are, or I could have heard all of the story about this on like a Twitter feed somewhere. I had no idea.
Yeah, the internet was mostly for IMs, where surprisingly I talked to a lot of dudes that were 6 inches. I was like, why are you so short?
I know, there's some short dudes out there. So
I was like 8 years old, just being like, I don't want to be friends with people shorter than me.
And
like,
apparently they all knew sign language too. They all kept asking. Yeah,
so weird.
Yeah, they was like ASL. I'm like, no, I speak.
Right.
I don't know sign language.
I'm
but
like, dog, I'm just learning English.
So Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Or Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, whatever you want to call it, was
sequel to the original
Dark Forces. You are Kyle Katarn again, but you are using a lightsaber instead of a blaster.
More like Kyle Retarn, as in return. I'll see myself out.
Yes, please. And you think I'm bad.
You're horrible.
I'm horrible. You're
I spent
worse.
Too much time with you.
You're worse. So it was just the sequel. It was more cool stuff. A lot of these games, the theme of a lot of these games, which I think we love, you're just basically fucking up stormtroopers all day. Like stormtroopers are just dying in droves because you have a literal weapon that will just cut them in half and you can throw it and like they miss so often.
You
So it's
think
like
that's funny?
I do.
That stormtrooper has a wife and
My
kids.
father was a stormtrooper. I had friends
The
on that
great
Death Star.
stormtrooper genocide of '97. How dare you?
I had friends on that Death Star. But you're fucking up stormtroopers so much in all of these games that it's just awesome. And no one cares. Everybody's like, yeah, just throw another 10 stormtroopers at him. We'll see what that does.
Just do it.
Just mows them down. And it's like, all right, how about another 20 stormtroopers? We'll see what that does. It's like, no, I'm just going to kill him. So go check these out.
So Kyle Katarn is a war criminal is what you're telling me.
Pretty much. He commits genocide on the daily. This next one I threw in just because I thought it was awesome. Star Wars Monopoly. That was a PC game that I remember having.
Huh.
It was 3D animated Monopoly with Star Wars characters. And whenever you would roll the dice and you would move, your character would like, Luke would do flips. Boba Fett would do a jetpack. R2-D2 would just like roll. And then like things would happen.
Roll R2-D2.
Things would happen like when you roll a dice, the Millennium Falcon would come in and like shoot the dice to change the, to roll them. It was kind of cool. If you've played that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was awesome. So this one, I hope you have played.
Nope.
You haven't played this?
Nope.
Okay. This next one, is very thought of as bad in the gaming universe. And even the Star Wars, fan verse. Star Wars
PS1 game.
Yes, Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasai. This is a fighting game. Which, it's side like Tekken. It's basically Tekken, but with Star Wars characters. And people just shat on it because it's like, was a little buggy or, Luke has a lightsaber and he
53% on game rankings.
Yeah, people hate it. Luke has a lightsaber, but can't actually like kill people with it. He just like stuns them or like hits them and they're like, ah. And there's literally, you play as a Gamorrean guard or whatever, named Hor. Or no, that's the Tusken Raider named Hor, I think. Yeah, Hor. And then the
whole interface is very reminiscent of Tekken too.
Yeah, it's literally just Tekken, but with Star Wars characters. And I think because Tekken exists, okay, Thok is the Gamorrean guard, Hor is the Tusken Raider, and everybody's like, Hor? Why would you name a person Hor? But it's not spelled Hor, it's spelled like H-O-R or something. And everybody just like, oh my god, who is this guy? And it's like, that's a Tusken Raider, if you know who that is. It's Han Solo. It's Princess Leia, like Darth Vader. It's basic. And then they put Darth Vader in Soul Calibur, and everybody thinks it's fucking awesome. And I'm like, well, yeah, they did that already. They had Star Wars characters that fight each other. Masters of Terras Kasai, PS1. I just think it's a game that deserves a little bit more credit than it was given. But it's not going to be. The next one is Star Wars Rogue Squadron. This is the Rogue Squadron series was kind of the advancement of X-Wing because there's a lot of piloting in these games, especially when you get to Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Squadron 3, a lot of pilot-based gameplay, but they decided to switch up some of the ships that you were doing. So it wasn't just X-Wing, it was, yes, X-Wing, but you're piloting an A-Wing or a Y-Wing or a B-Wing or a chicken wing. Just any other kind of wings that you want. I couldn't think of a joke wing, so just chicken came out. That's all I got.
We'll just both see ourselves.
All right, I use up all my jokes at the beginning, so I run out of stuff to talk about. So Rogue Squadron, it was kind of cool, and then I think Rogue Squadron 2 and Rogue Squadron 3 were better, but I had more experience with those. Rogue Squadron 1 came out on PC in 1998. Again, I was 4, didn't really get into gaming until a couple years later. And that wasn't the first one I played. It was more of the newer ones. So I was like, eh. And then when Rogue Squadron 2 came out, that was 2001. That was for the GameCube. I went nuts into that game because I was of GameCube age. I was like, I got the GameCube when it came out. I'm like, I'm playing the hell out of this. So Rogue Squadron, fun game. This next one I threw in there, which I don't know who else had this, but it was fucking awesome. There was a Millennium Falcon CD-ROM playset that you can put on top of your keyboard. And it was basically the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. And then you would go through this entire story, and then you could press down on the seat, and then you could press or flip the switch to go into hyperspace and do all this other stuff, because all it was you played this playset on top of your keyboard, and then once you pressed it, it would press a key, and that would be so you could play it without it, but it was just cooler. And then you could put figures in it. It was really cool. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I kept playing it, and there were different ways to do it. So if anybody else had that out there, that's pretty fucking awesome. So now I hope we're getting into the games that Amar has played. Amar has apparently not played any Star Wars games when he was a little kid. So now we're getting into the late 90s and early 2000s when Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out. So this is the first movie we actually had the chance to see in theaters. But we were still only, pretty young kids at this time. So
yeah, this one I actually didn't see in theaters.
Yeah, our parents had to take us. My parents took me because I was a couple years old.
We were like 2 years in the United States. My mom didn't want to step foot out of the apartment.
I was taken, but I don't remember a ton of it because I was so young. So Star Wars Episode 1, obviously, they were going to capitalize on a new episode coming out. They were going to make a game for it. I enjoy the hell out of this game.
I did play this one.
You did play it. Okay, finally, Amar. Let's see, how many? 13 games in. Your 13th game. Lucky 13. Amar has played.
I have played this one. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. My cousin my cousin owned it, and so I remember that was like the first time that I played a game shortly after watching the movie.
Yeah,
because I didn't see Episode 1 until like shortly before Attack of the Clones came out, and then like my cousin picked up a copy of this, and I started playing it. And I'm like, huh. It's literally playing through like the entire, like it starts off the exact same way, right? Yeah. And I was like,
but it's a little bit more, cool. It's like any other video game from a movie, because the movie, there are scenes that happen in like a minute, but right? They need to make a level last like an hour. So they're like, okay, while Obi-Wan was running around the Trade Federation where you
like run through that forest as Jar Jar Binks?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then when you're Obi-Wan in the Trade Federation ship, instead of him just like wandering around and like figuring out where he's going and getting to the place where they were holding all the ships and watching them blow up, you actually have to like walk through all of these air vents and stuff. And then like, but there's robots in there. There's droids in there that are going to come and get you. So you got to be careful. And then you walk by the ships and then you see that ship blow up.
Episode 1 was so great.
It was so good. It was very good. They've aged well. And that game, probably hasn't aged well, but it was a very good game. I guarantee
you it's still a lot of fun.
It's probably still awesome. But it was just like, it's basically the movie. And it was like, not super Star Wars. It was the movie. So you could go and play through the entire movie. You could use your lightsaber skills. You played as Obi-Wan and other characters. It was fucking awesome. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was difficult too. Some of these were hard. Some of these were difficult not because of like it's a Dark Souls game and like you're destined to die. It's just they were hard because it's hard to make a game easy and also good at the same time back in the day. It has to be hard, meaning you're going to die because it's not, they've reformed and refined combat mechanics and stuff over the years. And this was 1999. Like, you're asking for a little bit much. The next one, which they are bringing back, which I am happy about it. I am going to buy this on Switch. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Yep. Many hours
now
spent on this one.
Now this is pod racing.
That is absolutely pod racing.
It was awesome. I didn't remember how in-depth it was until I remembered looking back and like looked back into it. I'm like, holy shit. You had a pod racer. You didn't have to be Anakin. You weren't like shoehorned into playing as Anakin. You could play as anybody else that you wanted to. Even the random guys are like, oh, apparently that's that guy's name. Sure. You could play as Sebulba if you wanted to. But you got to race.
Stupid Sebulba.
I know. You got to win the races and do multiple like Grand Prix basically. Upgrade your ship. Do all this other cool stuff to make you faster, to make you better.
They're not like remastering or like
I think it's
updating.
Just a port.
It's just a port, probably with like slightly updated graphics. That comes out soon in like
I think so.
A week or two.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I'm ready to play it. It's gonna be
Missed
awesome.
opportunity not to release it on Monday.
They should have
because I just looked it up. It's May 12th.
Too much sense.
Nobody says
a week
May the 12th.
Earlier. Yeah,
May the 12th be with you.
Maybe they will. So Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, go pick it up on the Switch, and you'll get a taste of kind of what gaming was like back in
Switch and PS4.
I think so. Back in the 90s, you'll get late 90s, early 2000s, early aughts, you'll get a taste of what Star Wars games were like. Maybe they update the graphics, maybe they don't. I don't know, but it's a fun game. The next one
Wait
is
a minute. Star Wars Episode 1.
what? Racer?
Oh, it was delayed.
Delayed. Well,
It was-
fuck you,
It's still coming,
coronavirus.
it's still coming out this month, but instead of the 12th, it's coming out on the 26th.
Okay, that's fine.
The
Still buying it.
Switch release date has not been affected, so it's still coming out
12th?
on the Switch.
That's where I'm buying it.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So, next one, Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader. So they were basically, hey,
You did mention the first one.
oh, dude, I got it. Rogue Squadron 2. This one was for GameCube, which I got. It was awesome.
The first portable system.
Yeah, everybody's like to think,
That's why
oh,
it had
these
the handle.
games, the Switch is so portable. It's like, yeah, GameCube had a fucking handle on it. That what do you think that handle was
What
for?
do you think I did? Just left it at my house while I went to my friend?
What did you think that handle was for? I was carrying that thing like I was going to work with a
I
briefcase.
clipped that shit to my backpack.
So
So I could
Rogue,
just plug and play wherever.
Rogue Squadron 2 was a lot more of Rogue Squadron 1, but they started to get a little funky with it, meaning there was a Hoth level. So you could be
Why do they call it Hoth?
Go ahead.
It should be called Kolth.
I'm up after the band. So you could play, but when you were in the snowspeeder, you actually had to do the Luke thing and be like, these Rogue Squadron games do a good job of mixing in a little bit of, you're going to be a person. You're going to play as Luke doing a thing, not just you're flying all over the place. So there are levels like while you're on Tatooine, you got to roll around and explore a little bit. And, like, okay, you have to jump here. You got to go to this place. You got to shoot this thing. You got to collect this thing. And then they're just like, okay, now you go fly in your T-16 and shoot some womp rats. Like, it's awesome. So if you have some nostalgia, if you have some nostalgia that you want, go pick up a GameCube, play Rogue Squadron games. They're awesome. And you get like, fly this Y-Wing and you got to do this bombing run. Fly this A-Wing, you got to do this really fast. Fly this X-Wing, and you got to do what X-Wings do, which is basically shoot stuff and look like an X. I think X-Wings are a little overrated. That's just my opinion.
Wow.
Hot takes here. The next one is a little bit more of the same stuff. You can tell kind of a lot of these games, they can churn out whenever, because once you play the story, once you have like the movie game, you either need to go through an entire different storyline or regurgitate the same shit. So once you have the episode 1 game, you've done the story of episode 1. So you can't like do that again or do parts of it. So they come up with piloting games because you can just fly around a ship anywhere and shoot anybody. So they came out
stormtroopers
and who are flying the plane or the
Wow.
ships. So yeah, they are
My friends were on the Death Star.
they are not immune. Jedi Starfighter.
This one
Same
I have
thing.
not played, but I own.
Same thing. Play it.
It came out on Games with Gold, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say no to a free Star Wars game.
Jedi Starfighter, you're fighting in a Jedi Starfighter.
I have a lot of free Star Wars games I haven't played on Xbox.
Which a lot of these, there's a ton. That's why I'm saying. You'd basically fly around, shoot stuff. That's about it. Most of these pilot games are the same. It's just they're getting
It's
better.
like Ace Combat, but Star Wars.
Kind of, yeah.
Huh,
You just get
I
better.
can get down with that.
You get better graphics, more intricate stuff.
More stormtroopers with families.
more people dying.
that they won't go home to.
Yeah. So this one I remember playing and loving the hell out of. Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast.
Did you mention the first Jedi Knight?
That's Dark Forces.
Is that?
Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. It's weird. It goes Dark Forces, Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. This is Jedi Knight 2. Does that make sense?
No, but go on.
Makes zero sense. Continue. So, I mean, they are...
I'm going to sound like Stella from How I Met Your Mother, where it's like, and what is up with that giant bear? He's a Wookiee, and his species are a lot more intelligent than they appear.
Let's go, giant bear. He goes, "Brr," and I'm like, yeah, okay, you're right. So it's essentially the same kind of thing. You're Kyle Katarn. You're doing things as a Jedi.
The stormtrooper genocidist.
He's killing people again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't that guy just go
He's
fuck
got
off somewhere?
he's got anger issues.
Clearly.
At least he's not killing younglings. He's killing. What if the
That's why they didn't release.
what if the
Star Wars
Empire was
Episode
actually
2.
the good guys? And it's just like all these guys are just getting mauled by these like small sect of people that are just like pissed at them for some reason. Like, we're trying to make sure that everybody can live in a nice environment. But all these Jedis just keep coming and killing everybody.
Did they make a
And
Star
nobody
Wars?
mentions that.
Did they make a Star Wars Episode 2, like Attack of the Clones?
They did.
Did they?
Absolutely.
Do you just kill younglings the whole time?
No, that would not be made.
Why not?
I don't. Why do you think
So
in this game you do nothing
is
but kill kids?
One
It's
of those
great.
kids might become stormtroopers when they grow up.
That if they're in younglings implies that they're under Jedi tutelage.
Well,
not then you just say
Anakin was under
children.
Jedi tutelage, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, well, he's different. He's the exception, not the rule.
I'm just saying.
So
he went above and beyond, though.
A little bit. They did make a Star Wars Episode 2 game. I didn't play it.
So you don't know if you can kill younglings.
Fine. I do not know if you can kill younglings. Look it up. I think it's a fair bet that you can.
Younglings
in Star Wars
Episode.
This is a thing. The government is gonna look at it as like, this guy wants to kill younglings. Fun fact, I enjoy the beer. It's called Yingling, but I call it Youngling because then you can kill some younglings and watch Star Wars. So I enjoy doing that. The next one is related to this movie and is Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is a lot like the movie. There's battle scenes in it. There's that entire giant, like after the Colosseum battle thing, like after all the Jedis come and then they're all like, okay, we're going to go to this little area and we're all going to fight. There's a big like war going on. So essentially it's vehicular combat, which was kind of cool. A lot of these I played for like an hour or two, but I played enough to know what they are. You can control Anakin, you can control Mace Windu, kind of like that. You remember that big fight where like Yoda's like, yeah, put me down around the perimeter, and then like let's go in that assembly area, and like they're all the droids and all the clones are like fighting. It's essentially you're part of that. Which, I mean, Star Wars does a really brilliant job of, hey, this movie's like 2 hours long. We can split it up into like little parts and just make like a game out of it. They're like, what if we were just doing this battle? Like, yeah, just do that. What if we were doing just like this part? Like just having Star Wars characters fight each other. Because why not? This next one I think you've played. Star Wars Bounty Hunter. You have played Bounty Hunter. So
let me jog my memory here.
Bounty hunters are kind of dope, except a lot of them are weird. I always like the Family Guy thing. He's like, all right, we got the lizard-looking guy, the mummy-looking guy, the robot-looking guy, deep-sea diver-looking guy. He's like, oh, Boba Fett, nice to see you. So it's like everybody kind of is weird and not in the picture except for Boba Fett.
I did not play this.
You did not? Okay.
I'm so sorry.
So Bounty Hunter is essentially you're playing as a bounty hunter, which shocker there. I mean, it's kind of gave...
They're Mandalorians, right? That's like their thing.
No.
So
Jango Fett is a clone. He made the clones. And Boba Fett is a clone, but just he's like, I want this one to age normally, not age at a rapid rate. So he's like, I want one for me that I can raise. But Jango Fett is not a Mandalorian because he stole Mandalorian armor.
Oh, okay. I see. He's a species. He's a human, but he's affiliated with Mandalorians.
He just looks the part.
Gotcha.
He'd like to probably claim he is, but he is not true Mandalorian because he wouldn't be out and about doing a bunch of shit because this is the way. Hopefully you guys are watching Mandalorian on Disney Plus. It's awesome. Go check it out.
Season 2's coming soon.
It's hopefully. I mean, with all this pandemic shit, who knows?
I think they started recording shortly after they wrapped up.
I think they're shooting season 3 already.
Correct. So that would be impacted.
I think season 2
should still be fine. They're in the editing stages.
I think so. So the next one, I have not played, but I want to, and it really hurts me that I haven't played this. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
I have a copy if you'd like to borrow it. I have 2 copies.
I might want to.
I think one of the copies doesn't work, so I bought a second one that does work.
I should buy it, but
it's pretty cheap because it's backwards compatible on Xbox now.
It's made by BioWare, somebody I love and will profess my love for all day. This is the one I am kicking myself.
Do you like Mass Effect?
A little bit.
Would you like Mass Effect in the Star Wars universe?
I think so.
So that's what Knights of the Old Republic is.
Yeah, like
it's a better Mass Effect.
Like
it's everything Mass Effect wishes it was.
When I read all about this and think about it, I'm like, why the hell have I not played this game?
But it looks like you played the second one.
No. I did not play KOTOR 2.
Oh, you didn't know
I
it's
did not play
listed
KOTOR 2. There's a second one I haven't played either.
Second one I have not played.
And I've
I have
literally
played the first one though.
this week I spent finishing all 3 Dragon Age games, 100%. Mass Effect games.
So you like
I've
Dragon
played.
Age?
I've played 6 times over, but haven't played KOTOR yet.
Did you like Dragon Age?
I love Dragon Age,
So would you like Dragon Age?
but it's
if it was
set
set
in
in the Star Wars
yeah.
universe.
I think so.
Okay, so Knights of the Old Republic is what Dragon Age wishes that it was.
Yeah, I hate myself for not playing it. Like it's gonna. I know it's gonna be great.
I want to say, I don't quote me on this. I got to look it up. Like I said, I own a physical copy that I bought online. I know you can buy it on Steam and on Xbox. You can even buy it on iPhones. Like you can.
Yeah,
I know our buddy.
Please remind
our
me
buddy
of
Colin
how
has-
many opportunities I had. To
Yeah,
play.
our buddy Colin has been. He's texted us several times how often he's been playing Knights of the Old Republic.
I know. I need to play it. The next one is Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. They kind of stopped with the whole Jedi Knight 2, all that other crap.
It's $5.
Okay, I get it.
Just
I'll play
buy it
it.
and play it.
Fine. Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is kind of like a spin-off of the Jedi Knight games. You're not playing as Kyle Katarn anymore. You're playing as Jaden Core. So he's at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy, which is loosely, because this came out, Jedi Academy came out in 2003, way before they knew that Luke, like the new movies were gonna come out, and Luke was gonna be, hey, Luke has a Jedi Academy. I'm sure they had some kind of idea, but
You can kind of.
you can kind of put it together. But this one is just centered around you're in Jedi's. So you're Jaden Core, a new
Can
student,
you kill younglings in this one?
probably a new student at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy under the tutelage of Kyle Katarn. So he's still in the stormtrooper killer, still in the game. So
Wow.
I know.
Who
You think
keeps-
he's just gonna go away? He's
who-
good at what he does.
Who keeps hiring this guy?
He just does one thing well, and he's like, we can't get rid of him.
He's like the John Wick of killing
I
stormtroopers.
mean, yeah, he's really good.
Apparently.
Yeah, they needed to separate it over 3 games. So next one is Rogue Squadron 3. It's kind of obvious what it is. It's more of Rogue Squadron 2, which is more of Rogue Squadron 1.
It's just the first two
It's
added together to make
yeah,
3.
It's ship levels. It's third person levels, not first person. Third person levels, third person piloting levels. Pretty cool. Most of these, I think, have trench runs. Everyone's got like a trench run from the Death Star. It's just like, put that in everything. Everything's got like a space battle or got some Tatooine stuff, just because. Like it's, and some of these games, they either span themselves over 3 movies, span themselves over the entire saga, like some do, or they're just like they pick one. The Rogue Squadron, the first one, came out in 1998, so it had limited movies to work off of because Episode 1 hadn't come out yet. So it's basically those 3 movies, and the other Rogue Squadrons didn't really go over 1, 2, 3 either, which we liked Episode 1, 2, and 3. So if more games were like that, we would be happy.
Just to jump back, because what year are we in right now?
We are currently in 2003.
So in 2002 was when Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones came out, but it was only for the GBA.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
so
probably why I didn't play
it looked like it was this kind of like 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up almost.
Okay, so 100%. Which I guess maybe they
You
knew
can
that was a
play-
bad movie, so they were like,
You can play as Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Anakin. You can
Okay.
also you'll fight Count Dooku and Jango Fett.
Which I mean, I guess that's kind of cool. It's not. I mean, everybody hates on that movie, and I get why. It's not great.
The game was met with generally negative reception. I wonder why. Because it was only on GBA.
I think, you're not gonna. Anybody who's just playing, oh, cool, new Star Wars game. Yeah, I got it on Game Boy Advance. Did you get it? No, I have every other system but a Game Boy
There's
Advance.
somebody listening to this right now that's like still playing it to this day. Like, fuck you. I love
Fun
this.
fact: I found my Nintendo Micro.
You had one.
I had one.
Wow.
It's worth like $100 right now. It's awesome.
Oof. That was the only handheld that besides the OG Game Boy that I didn't have.
I
from the
had
Nintendo
I
Land.
had an OG Game Boy because I found it in my dad's office, but the back was broken, so there's a giant piece of duct tape on the back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started
Cool.
with the color and had GBA, SP. Never had
Yeah.
a micro.
So the next game in 2004,
Good year.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Good game.
Not the new one.
Not the
Yeah.
good one.
Throw away what you know of the current Star Wars Battlefront. The OG Battlefront, which you can play right now.
This is the pre-coronavirus Battlefront.
Yes, is awesome. It was my first, like, I loved this game because it was just it's basically you are fighting in wars and you can pick your roles and you can play different kinds of, I want to be a guy with a rocket launcher today. I want just to be a regular stormtrooper. If you play well enough, you get to become a hero character. Whereas now they kind of have like held your hand. It's like, oh, you guys all want to play as heroes. Here you go. You all can do it.
I think
when you kind of had to earn it back in the day.
I think the OG Battlefront 1 and 2, I want to say both of those are free with games with gold. I think I might
just one.
Was it just one?
Just one.
I might replay that one.
If
I was not impressed.
2 was free, I would be playing that right now.
I was not impressed with the remake Battlefront with the whole online only. 2 I still have to play because
We'll
I
get
hear
to
the
that.
single player story is decent.
We'll get to that. But it was so fun. If you get a chance to play it, go. Play Battlefront 1, the original Battlefront, and then play Battlefront 2, and you will see, holy shit, that's how good Battlefront 2 is. It makes Battlefront 2 seem so much better because the concept is there, just the execution is taken to the nth degree on Battlefront 2, which we will get to. The next one is KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, which I haven't played because I didn't play 1. Okay, I'm gonna play them both.
$5.
I'm gonna play them both. All right, you can hold me to that. I will do that. Fine. The next one, we'll skip that because it's basically the sequel to the first one, which I didn't play, which I should have, and I already regret mentioning.
I think this one.
The next one,
direct sequel. I'm trying to look.
Is Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
I didn't play that one.
I did. It was fun, but I think I played it for the Game Boy Advance.
Of course you did.
Yes, because I didn't have a PS2 when everybody else did. I got one way after. Like I got one, I think, after the PS3 came out. I had a PS2, and then I did not have an Xbox, original Xbox. So I played it on Game Boy Advance, which it was okay. Game Boy Advance games are always watered down versions of regular games anyway. So it was like, okay, I bet this is fun on another system. But it's basically the movie, which Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the last 45 minutes, whoever choreographed that Obi-Wan and Anakin fight on Mustafar deserves a fucking medal because that is awesome. It's so cool. That whole fighting them each other on a lava planet, dope as hell. Love that movie. So Episode 3, probably better the game than Episode 2 because they actually made one. You know?
They made one for the second one.
I know, but
on Game Boy.
I know, but I'm saying they actually like, okay, this one's good enough. Put it on PS2
because they know everybody would have been mad that you can't actually kill younglings.
I mean, it sounds like you're mad. It sounds like
you're letting
mad.
us kill stormtroopers, but I can't kill younglings.
This next one is actually very good. I've heard very good, but I haven't played it.
I'm surprised you haven't because of your affinity for FPS games.
It is a first-person shooter, Star Wars Republic Commando. You are stormtroopers, clone troopers in the army, basically, and you're shooting a lot of things. And what's not to love? You're not shooting the Jedis that have killed you for many years. You are, just dealing with whatever kind of problems that
a stormtrooper might have.
Yeah, soldiers may have in a battle. And it's kind of awesome.
Damn it, rations are low this week.
2005. It was only on Xbox and PC. I didn't have a really good PC at the time. I think mine was like full of viruses. Don't ask why.
Why?
Porn. But
Star Wars porn.
I did not have an Xbox, and my PC was basically a paperweight at that point. So I didn't play it. But I've always heard nothing but good things about it. If they want to bring that back, which they might have ported it. I bet they have.
Here we have the internet. And
we do have the internet.
They did not port it, but I would not be surprised if you could pick it up on Steam now.
The next one is one of my favorite games and ushered in kind of some of the best Star Wars games. Lego Star Wars.
You're just going to skip Battlefront 2 like that?
Lego Star Wars was before Battlefront 2, but look at the list.
You didn't put a year on Battlefront 2.
Oh, 2005.
Was it 2005?
I think so. Yeah, 2005.
What date?
It doesn't fucking matter. None of these are by dates.
I'm just saying.
Lego Star Wars came out in 2005. We're going to talk about that. It's Lego.
When in 2005?
It's Lego. It's Star Wars. It holds up. Like, honestly, it's the same formula, but it's so good. You're just basically going through Star Wars, completing puzzles that only certain characters can do, and then going back and completing them, and then getting all the characters, unlocking all the stuff, finding all the red bricks, doing all the same kind of stuff that you do in every single Lego game. But this was the first Lego Star Wars game.
It also did come before Battlefront 2.
So yeah, shut up. I know what I'm doing. And I enjoyed
Missed
the hell out.
opportunity to say lawyered.
I'm good. Not this isn't my
Board certified.
true. So Lego Star. Yeah, you lawyered me. Lego Star Wars was very fun. Did you play it? Please tell me you did.
So here's the thing.
Oh God,
I have.
Why did I even have? You
I
on
have.
this
I
episode?
have. So a majority of the Lego Star Wars games I have played. I think the only Lego Star Wars game that I did not play is Force Awakens.
Really? You've
Yes.
played Lego Star Wars 3?
Yes.
Hmm.
So not to jump too far ahead, I'm just trying to look at the list. But yes, I have. Yes. Yeah, Force Awakens is the only Lego Star Wars I haven't played.
Okay.
But that one, I mean, isn't that going to be bundled in with like the newest one that's coming out?
No, I mean it'll be in there, but it's not going to be a whole game. It's going to be like
Just a section of it.
part of it. Yeah,
I guess it's not really the same thing.
it's not. So Lego Star Wars, the original Lego Star Wars, was the first three movies.
Yes.
You'd think the first Lego Star Wars game would be the original trilogy. It's not. They made it episode 1, 2, and 3. I don't know why they chose to, but it was fun because it's basically the Star Wars movies, but in Lego form, which I will 100% always have time for. Make 18 million Star Wars Lego games? Sure.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, they're always a blast.
Yeah, I'll buy them.
Pretty much any Lego game is fun.
Yes.
My fiance loves Lego Harry Potter.
Yes, but Harry Potter sucks. I said that just for reactions. I actually think Harry Potter is average, but this is a Star Wars podcast today. The next game,
It's the 30th anniversary of the Battle of Hogwarts, bud.
it's actually the 40th anniversary of Empire this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So the next game, which is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars games of all time, ever in the history of mankind, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2,
Yes.
in 2005, after Lego Star Wars.
Before the coronavirus.
Yes. It's so awesome. It's so good. It's a simple concept. It's just Battlefront 1, but like better.
Twice.
Yeah. It's, Battlefront
double the
2
Battlefront.
electric.
Battlefront 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Pretty much. So it's the graphics are better. You can actually play, like they have both Empire and Republic. That's wrong, but they have both factions. So you can play as droids, you can play as clone troopers, you can play as stormtroopers, you can play as rebels. It's just everybody. And the space battles are in
Kyle
there.
Katarn.
No. Which, I mean,
He
where
re-
did
he
where did
retired.
he go? He stopped showing up. Yeah.
He finally got.
We need to bring him back.
You can't. He finally got.
All the kids, all the younglings came back and were like, "Hey, buddy, we're
All the
sick of your
stormtrooper
shit.
younglings, they
We're
just
sick of your shit.
blasted him into the next realm.
Please go play Battlefront 2, the old one.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You will play this one and then you will try the new Battlefronts and be like, it's just not the same. Like I've been to heaven. Like this is just
Now I'm back
nothing.
at Earth.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
Ever since 2005, Andy's been chasing that high.
I know. Nothing has come close. It's honestly one of my favorite shooters because you can turn that in first person. It's first person shooter. So I always consider it a first person shooter. So that was in 2005. The next one, 2006, Lego Star Wars 2.
The original trilogy.
The original trilogy. They decided to go back. They're like, fuck, we don't have a Star Wars game. We need to come up with something. Lego, okay, we haven't done the original trilogy. Let's go back and do that. So they did the original 3 movies. Awesome game because it's a Lego game. Basically, stamp an approved stamp on it. It's awesome. It's a fun game and move on. It's Lego. It's Star Wars. What can go wrong? The next one, which you can kind of sense there's a lull. After all these Star Wars movies come out, there's no more Star Wars movies. So there's no more plots to go off of. There's no more things. After episode 3 came out, it was 10 years until they announced the next ones were coming out? It was a while. It was like 8 or 10 years.
When did Force Awakens come out? Wasn't that 2015?
Something like that. Hang on. I didn't need to know that information, so I didn't look it up. Force Awakens.
The
Came
game
out-
came out in 2016, so the movie must have come out around then or before.
2015.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they were announced. Like even
They were announced. I think they announced like the sequel
2012.
trilogy.
They were announced in
2012.
2012. So after 2000,
7 years.
so 6 or 7 years, which is a long time.
Oh yeah.
And even it was after Revenge of the Sith came out. Like after, from the end of Revenge of the Sith.
And this was during the time when Star Wars was not owned by Disney in the mid 2000s.
No,
was it?
they got bought. It was after the acquisition
That they're now
that
like.
they announced that no more movies were coming. That's when
when was the acquisition?
2012, I think.
Yeah, and
It
then
was
ever since
after.
then they've been talking about all this.
They were like,
they've
now
been
that we
pumping out Star Wars
now
stuff
that
left
we
and right.
bought it, we're going to come out with new Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well,
Because
they're pumping out content now.
George Lucas didn't want to. He had sequels in mind, but he didn't want to.
right?
But Disney was like, well, what if we give you billions of dollars and then do it like without your permission? And he was like,
Fuck it.
why not? Like, I am a billionaire for the rest of my life, you know? Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. So we have 2005 to 2012 of no new Star Wars anything. So they had to come up with something. So in 2006, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. Lego Star Wars came back in 2007.
With the complete saga,
The
which
complete saga.
was the original Lego Star Wars and Lego Star Wars 2.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, we have no ideas. Let's just put the first 2 Star Wars games
Just
together.
play them all.
Why not? People will buy it. And we did.
Yep.
In droves. So this next one, they were like, okay, fuck. No new Star Wars. Disney is still owned by George Lucas. He's being very stubborn, not coming out with
Disney?
anything. Or sorry.
Star Wars.
Star Wars is not owned by Disney yet. George Lucas still owns it. He's not coming out with anything else. We got to come up with another game, or else nobody's going to buy anything if the next Star Wars game comes out in 10 years. Okay. How about Star Wars The Force Unleashed? You are just some random guy named Starkiller, I think, which is funny because was supposed to be Luke's first, like his actual name, Luke Starkiller. But
Nice.
they kept it, and they're like, yeah.
He's
What
like,
if we
he
just
walks on skies instead?
He's a Skywalker, not a Star Killer. Like, I don't know how they came up with that. but haha. So Force Unleashed is actually a really dope game. It's awesome.
I haven't played it.
You haven't played it? Come on, dude.
I'm so sorry.
Have you heard of Star Wars?
I have. I've seen all the movies.
Okay, well, play the games. They're fun. If I gotta play, play KOTOR, you gotta play all these games.
KOTOR is like significantly better than 90% of this list.
I guess Star Wars: The Force Unleashed was more of you're killing stormtroopers all day, but you're getting
Again?
yeah, dude.
When are we going to give those poor guys a break?
It's rough. You know, being a stormtrooper is not an easy job. Someone's
Stormtroopers
got to do it.
I know they've got a wife and kids. They're just following orders. That's
Which
it.
is the crazy part. Clones are clones. Kill them. They're all the same guy. No
Sure.
one cares. Stormtroopers are actual people that
got
were
feelings.
recruited by the Empire.
Yes.
Yeah. And there were millions upon millions of
FN
them.
2187 had an emotional breakdown, and you're telling me
Okay.
what?
That's not the Empire.
No, but he was still a stormtrooper.
That's the First Order.
Still
He's not a
stormtrooper.
stormtrooper.
Pretty
They
sure
don't
they
call
called
them that.
I'm pretty sure they called him stormtroopers.
I don't know. They should call them something else.
They're dressed like
But I'm
stormtroopers.
talking about previous stormtroopers in the
I
first
guarantee
3
you
movies.
that there was a stormtrooper that had an emotional breakdown
Yeah, probably.
and then joined the
I'm
rebel
just saying,
cause.
it's fun to kill them. And
It's fun to kill younglings too, but I wasn't given that opportunity.
I remember seeing the demo for Force Unleashed.
Yeah, I did too. Like it looked like a great game.
was
I
awesome.
never got around to playing.
You had all the Force powers. You were basically a Sith, and you were killing stormtroopers for some reason. Like you were just like trying to
because fuck them.
just
That's why. I guess.
because like they're gonna die. Like what are they gonna do? Like it's fine.
They're
It's like
they're-
burning ants in your backyard. What are they gonna do?
What is wrong with you?
I didn't do it. I'm saying people do that. So
Who do you know that has done this?
I don't know. That's the kids do that. They melt.
I've never-
They burn ants in the magnifying glass. They do
Jedis are
that.
horrible people.
I know they're terrible. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying they do it. They're just like people like Carl Katarns kill stormtroopers just because.
He probably burned ants
Probably
in his
it's
backyard.
Probably there's probably a
It's
correlation.
interchangeable.
So it's basically you have all the Sith powers and you're basically just mowing through armies of
Ants.
stormtroopers and like they are ants and trying to just do whatever. And it's not canon. It's just a cool thing that they came up with when there was a lull and no Star Wars games.
Right, it's
And
something.
it satisfied our craving for Star Wars. It scratched the itch. I loved it. So I remember playing this game, this next one, after way, way, way after the fact. So if you don't know, there is an animated version of Star Wars called The Clone Wars, which is basically about episode 2-ish. But it's a different kind of timeline because Anakin has an apprentice now named Ahsoka. And it's canon, but you don't hear about it, anything like that in the movies. It's like the actual Clone Wars that are happening. So it's while you're paying attention to them killing the Count Dooku and okay, Darth Sidious is there, all that other stuff, an actual war is happening. So they need generals, and the Jedi are usually generals in that. So Obi-Wan Kenobi's a general. Anakin is pretty high ranking. I don't know if he's a general, but this is all kind of like a side story that's happening. Meanwhile, all of the things in Attack of the Clones are happening, which is why there's an Attack of the Clones, because there's a Clone War, blah, blah, blah. So Clone Wars Republic Heroes was a game I picked up because it was free, I think. And
Can't beat that price.
it's just basically Clone Wars. It's cartoons and you're killing people, not stormtroopers.
You're not
Probably.
killing stormtroopers.
Most of it's droids, I think, that you kill droids. It's
Oh, great. Now we're killing
they're
droids.
robots. They don't feel.
Why don't you say that to R2D2 and BB-8?
They're good
I
robots.
fucking dare you.
They're good robots.
Yeah. Tell
There are
C-3PO.
bad robots.
Tell
that I'm fine with killing
C-3PO that
bad
it doesn't
robots.
matter.
Everybody tells him he doesn't matter.
I know.
that's
That poor guy.
I know. I feel bad for him. It's a fun game. It's just like I played it just because I wanted to get the achievements for it, and yeah, I think it's a top-down game. So we're still in a lull. No Star Wars, and they came out with, you know what? Force Unleashed did pretty well. Here's Force Unleashed 2.
Did that like follow the...
Yeah, but it got weirder with it. It was like he's a good guy now, and he's going against the bad guys, and he's like in a ragtag group of people. There's a blind Jedi who I don't remember his name that like helps him out and like teaches him some stuff. And there's like more customization. You can change your lightsaber colors. And there's like a video of him pulling down a Star Destroyer with just the Force. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, sure. Like they, you know, they just, every single Star Wars movie that comes out, they kind of play with the Force a little bit. They're like, yeah, the Force can do that. Sure. Why not? The Force can make you jump really high. The Force can make you survive in space. The Force can make you do a bunch of stuff. So this was kind of how far can we go with these Force powers and just kill everybody around you. That's basically what they were. And they're awesome. You can shoot lightning. You can upgrade your Force powers and shit like that. It's pretty cool. The next one is another Lego Star Wars game because they're still churning along, even though there is no Star Wars out. Star Wars, Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, which is centered around the Clone Wars show or Clone Wars cartoon. So it's a lot of stuff that once you play it, you're like, I don't know what any of this is. But if you've watched the show, you're like, oh, got it. Yep, I know where they are. And like Darth Maul is a spider. He's got like robot legs. It's kind of dope. I want to check it out.
I still want to know what's going on with that fan-made like Darth Maul backstory.
I want like a Maul movie. That'd be awesome.
Yes, I love Darth Maul.
Ray Park is not getting any older. We should make one. I'm going to skip this next one because I don't
The
think
Old Republic MMO.
Star Wars MMOs don't really count. There was Star Wars Galaxies as well, which funny story, I bought it before knowing what MMOs were and that I needed a subscription to play it. I bought the game thinking I got a cool game. Nope. You got the chance to buy a subscription to play a game, which I didn't buy the subscription, so it was basically useless. So MMOs, Old Republic was another MMO. Didn't play it. It's Star Wars, but an MMO. You don't play as anybody that's actually important, but you kind of do some quests that have something to do with Star Wars, and there are blasters, lightsabers, blah, blah, blah. You know this kind of deal. I just don't think Star Wars MMOs really count because those never really took off. They tried,
I think the one of them that's still is it the Old Republic that's still going?
Maybe. It came out in 2011, so it might be.
There's a Star Wars MMO.
yeah.
I think it's Old Republic. People still play the shit out of that.
I don't know. This next one.
You tell me about this.
This next one sucked.
Did it?
But I unfortunately got it because I bought the Star Wars Xbox, the R2D2 version, which Amar now owns.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. It makes R2D2 noises when you turn it on and open it.
Or as my fiance likes to say, beep boop.
Yeah, it does that. Kinect Star Wars it came with a Kinect, which was a failed accessory to the Xbox 360. It sucked. because you
I'm
could
blanking
do
on the guy's name, but thanks, dude.
you could
He was the previous head of Xbox before Phil
Jeff
Spencer.
Connect, we'll call him that.
No, it was something fucking stupid. He had a jerk off name, and he was the reason why the Xbox One was so unsuccessful, because he had this like
He tanked it.
boner for the Kinect.
Yeah. Kinect is hands free. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like a webcam, PlayStation Move, whatever. It's VR, but not VR.
It's PlayStation Move, but without the dildo looking controllers.
Yeah. So it's wasn't going to take off. Kinect Star Wars is basically that. You're standing in front of your TV, moving your arms like a jackass and jumping and doing all this other stuff. And there was a dance game. So it's basically like Just Dance, but Star Wars. I tried it for like 5 minutes. It's awful. I didn't play it as much as I probably should, but now that game is completely gone. I don't play it anymore. So now we're getting into the more modern ones that we have a lot of experience with because they came out in the last 5 years. Star Wars Battlefront remake. They made it again. They're like, you know what? People want Battlefront. Sure, bring it on. They don't need an actual Force Awakens game at all. No, they need Battlefront. Let's bring it back. Let's make it kind of like Battlefield, which they did.
This is the first time that they haven't like made a movie tie-in game.
Yeah, which is weird. They haven't made any of these last 3 movies into video games.
Probably because they know that movie tie-in games
They're not successful.
Yeah.
Nobody's made a
these
good
kinds
one.
of it's better to do these kinds of Star Wars. Well, I mean, somebody did make a good one. It's called Episode 1.
I'm saying in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since they made a good one.
20 years. That's the best.
So they're like, you know what? Let's remake Battlefront. Why not?
And make it online only.
And make it online only multiplayer, and that's it. The beta was really cool. I was like, this is a decent concept. They graphically can get better because it's all dice. It's so improved graphically from the first one, and it's only first person. Whereas Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2, or the original ones, weren't necessarily meant to be played first person. You just can. It's just a thing you got to switch. This one was like, you are playing as first person, whether you like it or not. And people dug it. Beta was cool. I enjoyed it. I played the hell out of the beta because it's just, I get a Star Wars game and I get to be first person shooting. But then it got really shitty when it's kind of a pay to win game. Like the higher you get, the easier it is to just mow people down. Once you get Han Solo's DL-44 blaster, which was like level 20 or something, you just killed everybody. And then anybody that was trying to get to that level, you leveled so slowly. And it's like, why do I even play if like everybody's just going to destroy me because they all have this gun because they've been no-lifing this shit.
They didn't make it much better in Battlefront 2 remake.
And then instead of making a movie game of The Force Awakens in 2016, they made a Lego Star Wars version, which is, I guess, close.
Safe mood.
I guess
safe move.
Yeah, don't make a terrible game when you can just make a game that everybody's going to enjoy.
Yep.
I enjoyed it. Amar hasn't played it. It was basically the movie but Lego version. Pretty awesome. Lego is getting to this weird open world kind of weird stuff, which they did with it. They've done that in Lego Star Wars 3 where you're in like a hub and it's like huge, which I hate because I hate walking 10 minutes just to get to the other side to something I didn't really. Oh, crap. I went the wrong way. Great. Got to go up this elevator, off this path, jump this thing. It's like, I just point me to the levels. Like I enjoy the original Lego Star Wars games because you're all in the cantina and it's like, this door, episode 1. This door, episode 2.
Yep, and you just
this
go
door,
through the levels.
episode 3.
There's a
one
sense
do you
of
want?
linearity that's just kind of.
Don't give me this filler bullshit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because like I first experienced that whole open world concept when I bought a PS4 and I got Lego Marvel superheroes and I was just so
you have to travel around New York
overwhelmed.
City.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care that I can fly with Iron Man. This is still overwhelming.
Yeah. So in this entire conversation, you're going to understand we're pumping out tons of these games. We're almost at the end, but there's a certain point where the licenses get changed. So EA got Star Wars license to make games after I forgot who had it. But once EA got the license,
there was like LucasArts had their own gaming division because they were also releasing like the Monkey Island series and
LucasArts, but they were bought by Disney around 2012. So it makes sense.
So
like
EA
around 2012 is when they were like, hey, EA, we're going to give you the license to make these games. And they were like, you mean you're going to give us one of the most successful franchises ever
And expect us not to fuck it up.
and we don't have to really do anything. We get to keep it for like 15 years.
Is it 15?
I forgot what the actual license is for, but it's
I mean, I wasn't pleased with Battlefront 1 and 2, but I've heard pretty good things about Jedi Fallen Order, so I think they're starting to
so they
understand.
got the deal in 2013. It took 6 years to really negotiate. Like because these things take a while, and Star Wars is huge. It's a big thing that you can't just say, yeah, sure, do it.
Right.
Like it's
they
a
don't
lot
just
of
hand
red
that license
tape.
to just anybody.
Yeah, it's a lot of red tape.
It's expensive as shit too, probably.
Yes, EA's Star Wars license extends to 2023, unfortunately. And that was a long time. So they got the license.
As long as they keep improving.
So it's about 10 years that they got the license. But when EA got it, games kind of stopped because EA has a thing where they cancel games. They're like, yeah, we don't think it's great. We don't think the studio is going to make it. So we're just going to cancel it. There were a couple games that were announced that it's like, hey, what if this was an idea? And they're like, nah, we're not doing it. So games really came out at a snail's pace.
Anthem.
Yes, which went out in like 2004, 2003, 2002. They were just pumping games out. They're like, here's a Lego game. Here's a movie game. Here's a whatever side movie game. Here's a cartoon game. Here's a random Starfighter game. Here's a pilot game, whatever. But now when EA got
games
the license,
were also a lot easier to develop
they were a lot,
compared to now.
And they didn't have to be these extraordinary giant things.
Yeah, they just had to be fun.
They
I mean, still to this day,
they had to be entertaining.
Fun. A lot more goes into game development now than it did 15 years ago.
One is literally pod racing, and that's the only thing it is, and it's still super
can't go
fun.
wrong with pod racing.
So it's when they got the license, they kind of ran out of ideas, and instead of making mainline movie games, they're like, well, we have to come up with something else. And the only thing that stuck in their heads was, let's remake Battlefront. So they did. And they're like, okay, Lego game.
That was like EA's first attempt.
That was EA's first. That was EA's first game.
They didn't even make an original until Fallen Order,
which is insane that they got this license, and the first thing they did with it was like, hey, let's just make a thing that was successful already.
Let's play it safe, but still fuck it up.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Which it had loot boxes and shit. And I think the second one did. First one, I don't think did.
I think they both did, but the second one, I remember
they ramped up.
Yeah, there was a thing where they were getting a lot of flack for like how long it was supposed to take to unlock. I think somebody said to unlock like
I think it was Darth Vader. They're like, I want to unlock Darth Vader.
No, I want to say it was like Luke Skywalker.
It was something.
It was a huge main, like a central character to the entire universe. It would have taken you 40 hours of in-game time just to unlock the person.
Yeah, like it's
like
now they're
Vader,
all
Darth Vader came free on the PS3 if you bought fucking Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
You know, like and you're expected to play 40 hours. And then I remember that the community manager like threw out just some bullshit statement on Reddit, which I think still to this day is the most downvoted comment in like the history of Reddit comments.
Yeah. So instead of putting out multiple games, just because they're trying to make bigger ones, but they eventually shoot themselves in the foot, they were like, all right, 2015, Star Wars Battlefront. 2016, a year after Star Wars Force Awakens came out, okay, boom, Lego Star Wars Force Awakens, safe hit. People are going to dig it. We're going to make money off of it. The next one was Battlefront 2. So instead of coming out with anything else, instead of doing another movie game, Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2017. So these are one per year, and they're just the same shit. Everybody has so many complaints about EA for them as a company, but where it hits home for me is that they haven't made very many good Star Wars games. They've had a license for 10 years. They've made 4 or 5 games. That's insane. And they're all like, not that great. Like, it's amazing. Like, I cannot wait for them to get rid of this license and have somebody.
It's a company that specializes in sports games.
Yeah. So it's like,
what'd you expect?
Yeah. It's going to be loot boxes. They make millions and millions and probably billions of dollars in FIFA alone.
Yeah.
They're going to try to put those things in Star Wars. So it became I keep saying Borderlands, Battlefront remake, Lego Star Wars Force Awakens, Battlefront 2, which is much better now. They've improved it once they realize, oh shit, people are complaining. We should change these games and actually give people what they want instead of what we want them to have. Then they came out with Jedi Fallen Order. I think this is the one redeeming point they have.
Yeah, a lot of people have said very good things about it.
They get credit for this, but it's very Dark Souls-esque. So the format, like the mechanics, were already there. They kind of just, like they did with Battlefront, took something that was already successful that people like in a niche environment and put a Star Wars hood over it. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to put it in the Star Wars costume and then give it all to you guys. That's essentially what Jedi Fallen Order is. It's Dark Souls. Like, it's hard. You have to, all these bosses, you have to like dodge.
So let me ask you something. Do you like Dark Souls?
I don't.
Would you like Dark Souls if it was set in the Star Wars universe?
I mean, a lot of Star Wars games do that.
Apparently, Jedi Fallen Order is what Dark Souls wishes it was.
Yeah. Like, a lot of games of the Star Wars variety are taking something and just like, well, what if it's kind of this mechanic? There's only a certain amount of game mechanics you can have. That's why some games that are unique that nobody's ever seen before is like, makes that big of a splash, because like this has never happened.
That comes on Game Pass soon. I'd play the shit out of that.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I was thinking about buying it. We have not played
so too.
it.
I think it's on sale,
but I have looked up enough videos. I've looked up enough about it that I know what it is, what the style is, what it plays like.
It looks like I wouldn't hate it.
It looks like I wouldn't hate it. I do hate
player.
the Dark Souls games where it's like meant to be tough and it's like you're gonna die a bunch.
But I think this one you can select the difficulty, whereas
so.
I don't think you can in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So this one is more just like, it's got the same kind of style of combat as Dark Souls, but probably less aggravating, maybe. I don't know.
So this thing is basic. Jedi Fallen Order is the last Star Wars game that we got. That's the last one. What's coming out later is Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, but you got to think that's the last Star Wars game we're going to get, unless they remaster it.
That is even weird to me too, that like they released the Force Awakens Lego, but they didn't do it for the other two.
Nope.
I don't know. They're just like,
I don't know why. They could have,
so
but
weird.
They did not. They
It's
could
so
have
weird.
absolutely done that and at least given us like 2 games a year or something. Like, even as Lego games are not full-fledged, you know, it probably takes a lot of man hours to come up with it and make it. But a lot of the Lego games were just taking.
I think they split the work up in blocks.
True. That's fuck you. They took a lot. They even took a lot of the dialogue from the movies. Didn't even need voice actors. And we're like, just make it sound like the movie. Like, just take the dialogue from the movie. It's there. Get a license for it. So it's not like all you got to do is animate it and like write a narrative at least and like write puzzles. So you could theoretically do a main line. Here's a big Star Wars game, and then here's a Lego Star Wars game of the movies. But they didn't. So now they're just releasing all of them. And I hope they don't think that we didn't want them, because we absolutely did. I wanted more Star Wars Lego games. Now it's like the last one. Skywalker Saga is going to be all 9 movies.
But now we got pod racing coming out in a week or two.
I guess, but that's not a new game. If EA is like, you know, hey, we're gonna.
Is EA? I don't think EA is the one that's re-releasing.
Maybe not, but you got to think that they have to have some kind of like, well, we're not making games, so just
what's the price
release
on that?
something.
Have they released that yet?
So it's just amazing how Star Wars games are few and far between now. They're not necessarily getting better with the time that they're spending, and now that the new consoles are coming out, we're not probably going to get a new one until next year.
Probably not.
Which, I mean, is it going to be good? That's the thing. We don't know. EA games are average. There are some ones that you have to get a very good developer, and EA has to have nothing to do with it for it to be a pretty damn good game. When EA has their hands in everything, then it gets a little bit tricky and they probably become bad. Titanfall, that was a great game. EA had nothing to fucking do with it.
Yeah, EA.
It was all
It doesn't
Respawn.
look like EA is going to have anything to do with this
Apex,
either.
all Respawn. Like, you can tell Respawn makes good games. EA does not have anything to do with their success of Titanfall.
No,
Titanfall
EA
2.
just likes to flood my inbox to let me know
and
it's
they
a new season.
and they like to take credit for a lot of things. They basically
and collect money on the loot boxes.
and charge you for more FIFA points. So in this whole entire thing, this has been an hour and 20 minutes of Star Wars games, which is a telling of there's even more that we didn't even mention. There's some before the ones we started with. There's some also mixed in, the ones that we haven't played or don't really care about enough to know. There are tons of Star Wars games. We love Star Wars. It's awesome. I hope they make more games. We don't know what the next 10 years is going to look like, because they're probably not going to make more. They might
probably won't get to leave our houses anytime soon.
They might make side stories and all these other things, and might remake. What if they remake Shadows of the Empire, just like in modern day graphics?
What if they remake Episode 1?
Well, yeah, what if they do that?
Hell yeah,
so
brother.
We don't know what the future looks like for Star Wars games, but the past has been pretty damn good, except for maybe recently it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed all of my childhood spent playing Star Wars games. I will continue to play Star Wars games until I can't anymore. They're awesome. I love them. Go check them out if you haven't already. If you haven't watched Star Wars, A, I don't believe you. B, something is wrong with you.
The only people
C,
that haven't watched Star
please
Wars
go watch Star
are the
Wars.
people in Star Wars. That's because they lived them, Ted. They lived the Star Wars.
So please go watch a Star Wars movie.
Please play KOTOR.
I will play
Jedi
KOTOR.
Starfighter.
Don't play Jedi Starfighter. That's
that was
the
the one
one
that you yelled at me that I own.
Play some of these other ones.
I don't own the other ones.
I'm wondering why you own Jedi Starfighter, not
I
all
just
these
told
other
you it was
ones.
free with Games with Gold.
Fine. Don't play that one.
I'm not
gonna be mad if you don't play that one. I'll be mad if you don't play some of these other ones.
Give me a copy of the other ones.
Okay, I have to give you a copy.
Do
Just
it.
give me a copy. You think I got copies coming out of my ass?
Yeah, loan me. You just moved. I know you know where they are. Loan me a copy. You can have my KOTOR.
We appreciate you guys listening to this.
Yeah, thanks.
We hope you have a great Star Wars day. We know we're going to. Stay safe, stay healthy as always.
May the Force be with you.
Watch Star Wars. It's awesome. All right, don't watch Harry Potter.
My fiance is gonna have your head on a stake.
I'm gonna have to. I'm
minutes.
getting kicked out of the house pretty soon.
Yep.
So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.